The seraph who forgot how to fly. They called him Zariel, one of the burning ones, a seraph, radiant and ancient, who danced near the throne of God since the first, "Let there be light." His wings were sixfold, blazing with purpose. 2 to veil his face from the glory of God, 2 to cover his feet in reverence, and 2 to fly, to soar among the thunderous hallelujahs and holy songs that echoed across the sapphire sea. But something happened, something unthinkable. One day, when the celestial choir rang out and the seraphim rose as flames to worship, Zariel did not rise. He flinched. He hesitated. And then, he fell. Not in rebellion like Lucifer. Not in sin like man. But in something far stranger. Forgetfulness. I cannot remember how," he whispered, astonished. "I do not know how to fly." The other seraphim stopped mid-flight, their glowing faces turned toward him, confused. Michael descended in swift silence, his armor glistening like stormlight. "You are of fire. You were made to fly." "I was," Zariel said, trembling with wings that now felt foreign. "But I have forgotten the joy of rising. The flame in me is dim." He was not cast out. He was not punished. He was wept for. Even the angels do not understand such sorrow. Zariel was sent to earth, not in judgment, but to remember. He was hidden in flesh, a man with a spark behind his eyes, a fire wrapped in skin. He wandered cities and countrysides, temples and deserts, seeking what he could not name. He did not preach. He did not heal. He listened. To children laughing. To old women praying. To the drunk weeping in the alley. To the silence in hospital rooms. Somewhere in the midst of human pain and praise, he began to recall. One night, he stood under a darkened sky. The stars above flickered like heaven's memory, and the wind carried a whisper. "They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles." Isaiah chapter 40 verse 31. The verse struck him like thunder in his soul. Wings that felt useless began to burn once more. Tears streamed down his cheeks, glowing like embers. "I remember now," he gasped. It wasn't technique he had forgotten, it was trust. It was the surrender to divine rhythm. It was the childlike faith that made fire fly. The ground beneath him did not shake. No trumpet blew. No man noticed. But above, the heavens opened for a moment. And Zariel, flame reborn, soared. He danced once again with the seraphim, his wings ablaze with wonder, his heart singing of earth and heaven both. And in that flight, he carried something new, something no seraph before him had fully known. The beauty of forgetting, and the miracle of remembering. Extended Story, Part 2. Zariel wandered the earth not with wings but with weary feet, sandaled, blistered, and slow. The sky, though vast and open above him, mocked his loss. Each cloud a ghost of the heights he once knew, each bird a bitter reminder. He passed cities that did not recognize him, walked deserts that had no memory of angelic steps. He became a stranger in a world he once watched over from the courts of heaven. He did not preach. He listened. To the cries of mothers, to the desperation in fathers' prayers, to the silent, hollow faces of children looking for love. Their pain puzzled him more than hell's fury ever had. It wasn't the agony itself, it was the quiet endurance. Humans endured. Even in their forgetting, they still believed. Even in darkness, they hoped for morning. One night, as he sat by a riverbank with nothing but the stars and the whispering water, Zariel whispered a question to the night. "Why am I here, Lord, when I cannot fly?" The wind answered with a stillness he hadn't known since heaven. Not a voice, not a sign, but presence. And it was enough. The church with no roof. Zariel came upon a small village, cradled between 2 mountains. In the center stood an old church, stone walls half broken, pews falling apart, vines crawling like green prayers up its pillars. But it had no roof. Rain would fall in, sunlight would burn in, yet every Sunday, the people gathered. Zariel stood in the back, hidden in the shadows of the doorway. The pastor was not eloquent. He read slowly, stumbled over psalms. But when he prayed, he wept. And the people, simple farmers and children, joined him in tears. That day, as the sky wept upon the congregation, Zariel felt something stir in him. These people had no roof, yet they believed heaven was open. He looked up. The rain fell freely on his upturned face. For the first time in his wandering, he smiled. The child with the empty cup. Weeks passed. One cold morning, Zariel found himself near a hospital. Outside, a little girl sat on the steps. Her clothes were thin, her eyes too old for her years. She held a plastic cup, empty, save for a few coins. Zariel sat beside her. She looked up at him, unafraid. "Are you a priest?" she asked. "No," he answered, "just searching." She nodded. "Me too." They sat in silence, listening to the wind through the city's cold streets. After a while, she whispered, "I pray even though nobody listens." He turned to her. "Who told you that?" "My dad said God stopped listening when my mom died." Zariel's throat tightened. "And yet you still pray?" She nodded. "Sometimes, just in case he still remembers." The wind wrapped around them like a shawl. He wanted to weep, he wanted to scream, but he only placed his hand over hers. And the cup filled, not with coins, but with warm, clear water. She gasped, eyes wide. "How do you do that?" Zariel shook his head, eyes glistening. "I didn't." That night, he looked into the sky and said nothing. But heaven heard the silence. And the silence meant more than all the songs. A voice in the dark. It happened in a dream, or maybe in that space between sleep and soul. Zariel stood in a vast desert, stars glinting overhead like ancient eyes. A figure approached, light not from without, but within. It was the Lord. No face, only presence. Not thunder, only whisper. "Zariel, do you know why you forgot how to fly?" He bowed low, heart shaking. "No, my lord. Because you flew for the flame, not for the love." Zariel's spirit trembled. "Your wings remembered worship, but your heart forgot wonder. You glorified me, but you had not yet known me." But now, the voice said, soft as wind through olive trees, "You have walked among the broken. You have tasted sorrow. You have touched longing. You have loved with no reward. And now, you are ready, not just to fly again, but to soar for love's sake." When Zariel awoke, he wept. But this time, his tears were not for loss, but for gain. The return flight. It happened without warning. One morning, as the sun broke across the horizon, Zariel stood on a hill watching the city wake below. And suddenly, the wind remembered him. It circled his body. His spine tingled. His soul stretched. And then, the wings returned. Not as fire, but as light. Not of the old kind, but reborn. He laughed, oh, how he laughed. And the birds paused mid-flight as if they remembered his voice from ages past. He rose. Not like a rocket, but like a whisper catching the air. And as he rose above the rooftops, above the clouds, he looked down one last time at the earth, the wounded, weeping, worshipping world. The watcher in the clouds. He returned to heaven. And when he entered the courts of praise, the seraphim stopped mid-song. He did not hide his face in shame. Instead, he flew straight to the throne, not to boast, not to beg, but to bow. And the Lord smiled. "Zariel," God said, "now you know, that flight means nothing without faith. That fire without love is only noise. That praise without pain has no depth." Zariel's 6 wings shimmered with new glory, not just the blaze of heaven, but the scars of earth. He had learned the one truth seraphim rarely taste. God is not just above us. He is among us. He still flies. Today, when the clouds swirl in strange ways, when sunlight pierces like a sword through gray skies, when hope stirs in the middle of despair, perhaps you're seeing the trail of Zariel, the seraph who once forgot how to fly, the seraph who fell, so he could truly rise. Thanks for listening. Share your opinion below about what you think concerning this story.